around. I was like, wait, which one is this? I am your host, Chad Porto, and joining me for a special introductory debut. I don't know if you've ever done a show on this show before, done an appearance on this show before. This is Alex Swisherson of the Swishies, of the Swishers of Columbus.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes.
I don't think since you guys rebranded, I've been on. My last appearance doing anything wrestling with you guys was when I did the Elgin scandal.
Oh. Which time?
I had like a
There's
whole
been
hour.
a few.
I know. The first time, like when the Tumblr and everything was active, and he like the first time he like took a break from Twitter, with the allegations from that lady.
Yes. I think that was like 2017,
Yeah,
2018.
yeah. It was a hot minute ago. So,
I think the sad
but
thing
yeah,
is now you look at Elgin and you're like, well, now let me finish. You go, well, what he did wasn't so bad because we've lowered or raised the bar depending on your perspective on which way the bar goes when you talk about impending and inflicting crimes against humanity. Like Elgin's at a 5.
yeah.
Used to be at a 9. But
I'll give.
we've
Go
reshuffled
ahead.
the order.
I was gonna say I will give Elgin this. He, in allegation situations like his, he did what all people would do, and that's, say I didn't do this or this was blown out of proportion. You know what you will say in that situation. At least he didn't pull a fucking he who shall not be named dick wrestler, because he is a dick and also a dick. And go and start invoking God into all of this. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, buddy, God ain't on your side.
I knew he was suing his accusers. When did he invoke God?
So basically, he's gone on this huge tirade, and is basically like, I'm a child of God, and my sins have been cleansed of me. You cannot hold me accountable for anything that I've done in the past. I am reborn under Christ. I am a better man than this. This whole fucking huge bullshit. Like, I'm trying to get out of, blah, blah, blah. You can't hold me accountable for the sins that I committed before I was reborn, blah, blah, blah. And also the fact that there are still people willing to defend him is absolutely crazy.
Who's defending him?
There are people that are still defending him. There's a GoFundMe for help raise funds for the legal fees for fuckhead. I refuse to say his gimmick name or his real name.
Well, just to be clear, if we talk about more than one fuckhead, we're going to have to start using names.
True. Joey Ryan, a.k.a. Joseph Meehan. He's got like GoFundMe set up for him by people. A whole bunch of bullshit. He's gross. I hate him. He should never be allowed back in the world of pro wrestling ever again. And if he ever tries to weasel his way in, I don't know if I have to spend all of my money to follow him to every place he gets booked. I will fucking do it.
So
he stops getting bookings.
I don't follow him at all. So I just Googled Joey Ryan and God. So he posted something about getting confirmed in 8th grade, and then at Joey2535, Joe Estrada says, the born again gimmick.
Yeah. Because it works so well for Shawn Michaels.
Goddamn, literally the first reply, D.A. Batista, worked for HBK.
Yeah. He's the only person it's ever worked for.
What a scumbag, man. Like, oh my God. His entire Twitter profile now is just fucking gospels and what are those things called when you take a verse from the Bible verses? That's what they're called. Proverbs. So, yeah, he's a tool. And one day someone's going to smack him in the face with a baseball bat. And when that happens, I'm going to say, haha, I told you this would happen. Because, I'd be the one who did it. Jesus.
Before we lose this topic completely, I just want to ask this.
Yes.
I know that some shit came out with like Osprey and his girlfriend B Priestley. He like in the clear now?
Well, like the stuff that went down with Osprey, to the best of my knowledge, is like his big sin was someone said, your friend raped me, and Osprey said, no, he didn't, and stop lying. And like everyone's like, you're so evil, and I'm like, I don't know, like I get it. I mean, he was wrong, but you want to cancel him because like he wasn't comfortable working with someone who was actively, in his opinion, trying to destroy his friend's career. Like I get it. I know we're supposed to have like this sense of duty in this world where like we believe everything anyone ever tells us, and goddamn us if we have a contradictory opinion. But when it's your friends or your family and you're close with them and someone accuses them, your first instinct is to defend them. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
I'm not going to put him on the same pedestal as fucking Jimmy Rave. Not Jimmy Rave. Jimmy Havoc. Like, I'm not. Like, that's not going to happen. So
no, that's fair. I completely understand.
If he apologized or didn't apologize, like, I don't care. Like, yeah, he may have blackballed some chick, but in the end of the day, like, that's not the most heinous thing that's happened in wrestling this year. That's not the most heinous thing that's happened this week. That's not the most heinous thing that's happened today.
True.
Dick move? Sure. Criminal? Nah. So, Osprey,
if it was criminal to blackball someone from wrestling, we need to talk to a lot of promoters and also dig up a lot of promoters.
I think I would be in trouble somehow. What about Ed?
Probably.
What? What? Ed whom? I didn't do it.
Oh, man.
So
regardless of scumbags.
Well,
I don't know.
We're talking about Cody next, so like I don't know.
Oh God. We'll get to Cody. Let's actually run the card.
Run the card.
Oh boy.
So you this is where you run the card. I don't know. I defer to you.
Oh, sorry. I was having a little stuttering because Discord is a perfect app and it has no problems.
No, and they always update it for all the best reasons.
Yeah. So the kicked off. Dynamite kicked off this past Wednesday. Winter is coming. Because here's the reason they named it Winter is Coming. Tony Khan was like, yeah, I got a bunch of ins with a bunch of people, and they were like, hey, you have access to all these IPs, and he's like, if I have access to them, I'm gonna fucking use them.
Yeah.
So kudos to him, I guess. Like.
Well,
fair enough. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Didn't know if Winter is coming. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say technically, if I remember correctly, Game of Thrones is broadcasted via HBO. Like that's the production as well. Like I know it aired on HBO, but they produced it as well. And HBO is owned by Turner, which is owned by.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know who owns Turner anymore, but the same person that owns Turner owns TNT, and AEW is on there. So they have access.
Yeah. And again, it's like one of those things. It's like you use whatever you have available. So if Turner is like, "Hey, use Winter is Coming," I'm sure Tony Khan was probably like, "Fuck it, why not?" The Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal kicked off the show. So basically, from what I understand, this is going to be a yearly thing where once a year they're going to have a battle royal. The last two people left in the battle royal will face in a singles match the following week, and whoever wins the singles match gets to hold the Dynamite Diamond ring for a whole year. So
what does it do?
It's kind of like nothing. It literally does nothing. I think so. Like when they introduced it last year, I guess it's supposed to be like their. I guess if I had to compare it to a WWE thing to give you the most sense, it's like the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. Yeah, you win, you get your name on a trophy, and then you suck the rest of the year. Cesaro, Baron Corbin, Mojo Rawley.
Jojo.
They gave it to MJF last year. They had him do a whole fucking like. It got presented by DDP, so they gave the ring to MJF, and then MJF got into a feud with DDP right after that. So this year, trying to think of like the big notable things. This battle royal established the following things: Matt Hardy is a heel again, and he's returning to his big money Matt persona. So great. Um, when Matt Hardy eliminated someone in the battle royal and was smiling, and Jr. said, "And Matt Hardy just eliminated blah 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 with his big teeth." And I was like, "Damn, Jr., that's cold blooded."
Which is another Matt Hardy gimmick.
Yeah, it is. Um, so Matt Hardy established himself as kind of a heel. He's also supposed to be like mentor. He's supposed to be like the Doc Hendricks to the Hardy Boys, the Michael Hayes. Um, he's supposed to be that for Private Party, but he ended up eliminating one of Private Party when they had their backs turned. Established him as heel. It established that the Dark Order is back trying to recruit Hangman Page. They saved his skin from getting eliminated. And then he got eliminated. And the final two participants of this was MJF and Orange Cassidy. It came down to MJF, Wardlow, and Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy eliminated Wardlow. So next week on Wednesday, MJF will be taking on OC to determine who will be your Dynamite Diamond Ring holder for the next year. Honestly, no clue who they're going to put it on. They're high on Orange Cassidy because he's a draw, but also they're trying to build up MJF, so I wouldn't be surprised if they keep the ring on him just for him to keep being a dickhead for a year. So,
Dumb.
I don't know. We'll see.
All the dumb.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised that they didn't go with the Hangman move here, but I'm assuming that their plans for Hangman are very deep because from what I understand, the plans going forward are all to build up to Hangman becoming the guy, like the guy.
So much like the Dark Order, we're still recycling plot lines from the first episode of Dynamite, hoping that'll work this time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But we can get into that once we talk about the finish of the main event. The next match was Dr. Britt Baker versus legit Layla Hirsch. Really haven't seen a whole lot from Layla Hirsch. From what I understand, she comes from like CZW and has done a lot of like big name indie shows. I don't know how much CZW counts as a big name indie anymore, but
I think it still ranks. But I would say it's kind of like if we consider the big four of American wrestling, if we consider WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, and maybe you can throw in the NWA as like the big 4 or 5, then like the next one down would be your AAAs. Those 5 are your major leagues. The next 5, like the next ones down would be like your GCWs, your AAWs, PWGs. I would say CZW is right beneath that. So
okay.
They'd be the AA of indie wrestling.
Well, apparently Bleacher Report doesn't know how to fucking organize their matches correctly because this wasn't the next match, but we're going to go ahead and keep talking about it. Apparently the match following the Battle Royal was Frankie Kazarian versus Chris Jericho. But
that
Bleacher Report in their
like 15 years ago.
Dude, boy, you know what? Let's just fucking get into it. So we do this in order. We'll get back to Layla Hirsch. So Kazarian and Jericho. So here's the thing. Kazarian's been wrestling like 22 years apparently. Jericho just hit 30 years. If this match had happened 10 years ago, I think we would all be like, this is probably going to be a good fucking match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If this match had happened 15 years ago, you'd be like, Jericho's probably going to carry Kazarian, but a 7-year-in Kazarian's still going to have a great fucking match.
Well, think about when Kazarian had that banger with Christian Cage, that ladder match in 2007. Imagine if instead of it was Cage, it was Jericho. Because as much as people may love Christian Cage, I will go to my grave believing this. He was never a great worker. He was a guy people liked or wanted to like, but he wasn't a good worker. Very unathletic. So if you put Jericho in that match instead of Christian, holy shit.
Oh, yeah, especially like 2007 return. Like, when did Jericho come back? 2009?
07, 09,
Oh seven.
13, 14,
Yeah.
16.
Like Jericho coming back when he was like his '07 return, because I remember, like, wasn't it like '05 when he left when he left for the first time?
Yeah.
He lost that match to Cena,
And
and he came
then
back like a couple years later.
'07 was Save Us Y2J.
Okay, so '07, yeah. If Save Us Y2J '07 Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian in that match in '07, that match would have fucking ruled.
Yeah.
And there were hints of that in this match because fucking Jericho took the flux capacitor.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And let me tell you, Kazarian got all of it.
Well, I guess
Like,
it's true what they say. It is the thing that makes time travel possible because Kazarian was making moves like he was 28.
dude, he had no business hitting this move. Like, Jericho landed pretty flat on the flux capacitor, but Kazarian's like shoulder came down first. He came down kind of vertical. I don't think Jericho got great rotation because all he had to do was a front flip. But I think this is like the first time Kazarian has done a moonsault in forever, even though the flux capacitor is crooked as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, yeah, there were good moments, but the problem is that, like, this match was so convoluted and overbooked. With Hager and Ortiz were at ringside, and they were distracting. Hager literally had Kazarian by the throat at one point, and Aubrey was just staring at him, literally just watching. He's like, let him go," like telling him to let him go, and then he lets him go, and then she doesn't fucking get them from ringside. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, you blew the spot. Congrats.
Well,
Um,
she needs to make sure that her video game works, and that all the interviews she's getting for being a chick referee, that she's able to make those on time.
yeah.
My feeling on the AEW referees is that Cody's trying to make everyone a star, and it makes no sense. Why?
Yeah, I mean, they don't need to be. And the problem is, I don't think he's even trying to make everybody a star. He's just trying to make stars out of the referees that already had notoriety coming off the indies.
And like the funniest thing, Aubrey, like she's a fine referee when she's paying attention, but she does have huge fucking glips of time that she just is inactive in the ring for some reason. I want my referees to be like Big John McCarthy, always active, always moving, always involved. And this isn't a slight against her, because as much as I liked Bryce Remsburg in Shikara, he's a terrible referee. He's so overly exaggerated. Like, how many fucking shakes of the arm are you gonna do, kid, before you hit one?
Oh no, you're right there with you. Yeah.
One, like a fucking bird. Two, like, oh my god, I thought Brad Armstrong's cadence pissed me off.
And so I don't think this spot being blown was her fault, because I don't think they were like, hey, you need to make sure you're looking away. And Ortiz didn't do anything to distract her. So I think it was one of those moments of like, oh, Kazarian was supposed to fight them off. And Aubrey wasn't supposed to see it, but everybody fucked the spot. And she's like, well, I can't fucking wave them from ringside because I need them out here for the fucking finish. So a bunch of shit happens. Kaz locks in the walls of Jericho, aka the Boston Crab, on Jericho. Jericho almost taps. He almost gets to the rope. Kazarian pulls him back to the middle. MJF runs out with a towel, because MJF and Wardlow are part of the Inner Circle now. He runs out with a towel, and he's acting like he's going to throw the towel in, and everybody's like, don't you throw the fucking towel in. Don't you dare do it. Sammy Guevara runs out and takes the towel from MJF. They start getting into it at ringside. Jericho gets out, hits Kaz with the Judas effect elbow bullshit. 1, 2, 3. Sees that Sammy is holding the towel. A big fucking Inner Circle brawl ensues. And Jericho cuts the mic, and he's like, all right, he grabs the mic and he's like, this is horse shit. He literally says, this is bullshit. It's like, I'm sick of it. He's like, I'm sick of this shit. If we don't start working together as a team, I'm delivering an ultimatum. We're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to be working together. Next week on Dynamite, we were all going to meet here, and we're going to settle this. And if we don't, the Inner Circle is going to break up forever. So next week on Dynamite, we get the Inner Circle ultimatum.
Ultimato.
The Inner Circle ultimato chompers.
So I'm just gonna say this. Oh no, the inner circle's breaking up. They've done so much in wrestling.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, so here's the biggest problem with the inner circle is that Jericho is massively overexposed right now. He's getting 2 segments per Dynamite that he doesn't need to have. If he's gonna have a match on Dynamite, don't give him an interview segment. Because last week he faced I don't know who the fuck he faced. He beat somebody. And then fucking 15 minutes later, we got an interview segment with him and Marvez. So Jericho needs to go the route of John Moxley and take fucking Dynamites off. I think he wouldn't be as overexposed as he would be if COVID hadn't happened and he was touring with Fozzy. But it's just he's just massively overexposed. I don't think Jericho's doing any bad work right now. I think it's just I'm sick of him.
well, I think that's part of the issue, and I think I talked with Marcus about this. The problem with 2 hour wrestling and 3 hour wrestling is people get in this mindset that you have to be there every week now. You know, when
Yeah.
Impact was really clicking with their shows was when they were doing 1 to 2 hours, but they didn't have every guy on their show every week. And they would be like, this week's, Kurt Angle is going to be in a match against so and so, but next week Sting speaks, and then we'd go into next week and it'd be Sting has an interview segment, and then next week fucking Joe and Styles are going to climb up on top of a goddamn 38-foot scaffolding with 26 piranhas underneath them. And they're going to battle for the goddamn stripper title. Because, we're getting to the Russo era. And people are like, oh, that'd be cool. And then, the next week, Kurt Angle's going to wrestle Abyss in a thumb wrestling match or whatever. So, they always were able to kind of spread out the talent appropriately. So, you weren't getting 2 or 3 AJ Styles segments a night. You would get them once every other week, or even twice every other week, depending on if it's a short little interview segment. And that's what wrestling should be. And I think, especially with a roster like AEW's, with Impact, you can understand it. Impact has talent, they don't have draws, and that's the issue. But with AEW, they have both. There's no reason that they should have anyone in multiple segments on their show. At all.
Oh, yeah. And there are 4 people on their roster that should never be on. You can have 2 of them. You shouldn't have more than 2 of the 4, and that's Jericho, Moxley, Cody, and Omega. The 4 of those, and you can even throw the Bucks in there too. The 5 of those, technically 6 if you count the Bucks as 2 entities. They should not all appear on the same episode of Dynamite. No. I see 2 at the most. So if you're gonna have Moxley and you're gonna have Jericho, I don't want to see the Bucks. I don't want to see Omega. I don't want to see Cody. But they insist on being on TV every week. So it's definitely a big problem. The next match was legit Layla Hirsch versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
So I have some thoughts on Layla Hirsch.
Yes.
This is going to be very misogynistic.
Okay.
She's a prettier Shayna Baszler. Just off of first run views. I know that sounds like a mean thing to say, but I saw a photo of her in Stardom, and the first thing I thought of, that's Shayna Baszler with a lesser tan and more hair. And then I saw a photo of her in a black dress. I'm like, hey, so 2 thumbs up.
So what I've heard about Layla Hirsch, so they talked about this on Dynamite. She's Russian-born, moved to America when she was 8, and she was adopted by American parents. She's a standout amateur wrestler. Just her early stuff started on the independent scenes in places like CZW, and then I think before she got signed to AEW, she just gotten off tour with Stardom, which it makes sense that AEW would have their eyes on them with Riho and Yuka Sakazaki and everybody being a part of their early roster.
Can we clear something up real fast, though?
Yeah.
You said she moved over when she was 8 and got adopted. Did she come over on a boat with a little stick and the picnic blanket stuff and started looking for parents?
I have no clue. They did not specify what happened.
Because if that's how she came over to America, that's what Coming to America 2 should be.
Yeah, not sure, but apparently her work in Stardom was really good. Wrestling wise, she's technically sound. She has her amateur background, which really, anybody with an amateur background can do good things in a pro wrestling ring.
Do good wrestle
But
things.
her whole gimmick is that she's like a shooter,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's good. Like it's not bad to have one of those people on your roster. I don't think AEW really doesn't have like somebody with a shooter gimmick. Um, as far as
Maybe
I can tell,
Taz's son. He's literally
maybe
calling him
Taz
he's literally calling himself Hooker, which I'm just telling the
Hook,
kid, Hook.
just Hook, just Hook.
Listen,
Yeah,
the other one would have been better. You would have had a lot more opportunity and versatility with that name. But
dude,
like
are you telling me you're not a fan of Hook's inertia?
Hooks, he's using his last name.
No, I
Oh,
don't think he's using his last name. No, I
oh,
think
that would be.
they're continuing the it's Taz and Hook.
You know what would have been better if his name was Mania.
Oh, it would be, yeah, Mania.
Tasmania, Tasmania. And their theme song could be Down in Tasmania, Down in Tasmania.
Instead of whatever bullshit Team Taz's theme is.
So while we're on Team Taz real fast, I love that they gave Will Hobbs the name Powerhouse Hobbs.
It's great.
Yeah, it's such a dumb little change, but like, yeah. Okay, so I had to go
Yeah.
to the Tasmania cartoon Wikipedia page. This should have been Taz's son's name, Dog the Turtle.
Dog the turtle. Jesus.
So
I don't know about that one, but
so Layla Hirsch, definitely agree with the
um,
shooter idea. Like she definitely she just has that look, very stripped down, very focused on being a combatant and not like a flippity doodah. So
and
I'm vibing with that. Very much kind of like a Jordan Grace, only not nearly as jacked.
I will say this: she is 4'11". She is small.
She does not look it.
But she does not look it, dude. Watching her wrestle, though, like literally, if you look for the things as like from a coaching point of view, like any sort of coaching, like if you've ever done wrestling or any sort of martial arts, which I know you have,
Mm-hmm.
if you look as a coach and watch when people throw kicks or when they go to shoot on someone, you watch their quads fire. Her quads are made of. They have to be made of fucking steel. Like if she kicked you in the head, I think your head would explode like a watermelon. Like,
I'm looking at photos of her on Google, like of her wrestling, and everything you're saying is 100%. Like her form is spectacular,
it's amazing.
and she's got thighs the size of a tree trunk, which tells you that she's strong as an ox.
Yes.
And like that's two things that people like, or three things that people really don't realize. You need great hip movement, strong upper legs, and a great neck. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna start throwing people around like those, that's what you need. And she seems to have all of it. Like she may not be like
They
jacked like Jordan Grace, but like that's who I'm thinking of, like in terms of that like physical power style.
Yeah. And in risking factions getting too big, even though the Nightmare family is like 800 people, the Inner Circle is like 70 people, the Dark Order is probably about 100 people. Layla Hirsch should be with Taz. Like, let's not just like she is just Lady Taz. And I want to see her throw some people into fucking Tazplex and just drop them on their heads.
That'd be
You
dope.
know,
So all right, I
it'd
don't
be
know.
fucking great.
Because she's Russian, I went to this. What was excuse me? What was Zanya Onatop's finisher in Bond Goldeneye? Do you remember? I think it was like some type of like body squeeze.
I don't remember.
We need to get that going in wrestling.
Yeah.
just like some type of weird grinding, hook into the legs, and like body squeezing people to death.
So we should probably talk about the match. So Baker versus Hirsch. Like the whole point. This match served to do two things: get Britt Baker some heat and build up Layla Hirsch. Layla Hirsch looked great. A lot of the moves she hit really cool. She can move really well. Her speed is great. Her power is great. Her explosiveness, like she's absolutely going to be a star. Once she just gets built up the right way and she gets more experience. Britt Baker is Britt Baker. again, she doesn't suck. She's not going out there and putting on shit matches every week, but her matches also don't do anything.
She's not
Um,
well. The problem with Britt Baker, and like this is the thing that I think a lot of wrestling fans always kind of like gloss over because they're not. I'm gonna fucking wrestling fans are stupid. Wrestling fans like to
Yeah.
pretend that wrestlers can be anything they want because it's scripted.
Right.
If you're not athletic, you're not athletic. You can't fake that. Britt Baker's not athletic. She
Yeah.
doesn't have an athletic
And
bone in her body. If she was an athlete in high school, she was a bad one.
yeah, she exposes herself every time she hits the sling blade. Like, I
She does the
honestly can't tell
sling
you how
blade?
bad it's such a simple single move to do. Like, all you have to do is spin, and she makes it look bad every single time.
Because she doesn't have any
Like,
fucking footwork.
yeah, that is it. It's literally her feet. She doesn't know how to control her feet in the air.
It's like Scott Hall when he was drunk trying to throw that discus. Ugh. Just
Um,
stumbles around for 4 seconds before throwing it. Ugh.
Rebel distracts Layla Hirsch, and I think she like falls off the turnbuckle. Britt Baker hits the swinging fisherman neckbreaker deal, and then locks in the lockjaw, which is the rings of Saturn. But she also does a mandible claw. And then as soon as the match is over, Thunder Rosa hit the ring and then beat the shit out of Britt Baker. Because I think like the couple weeks before, Britt Baker interfered in her match, called her like trash or something like that. Britt's doing this whole she's the face of the AEW women's division, and Thunder Rosa is just better than her in every single category. So,
Dude, Thunder Rosa's, oh my God. She's fantastic.
She's great. She's so good.
I'm really looking forward to Thunder Rosa's next fight with. I don't know if she's going to have a second fight, but she signed, I think, like a 3-fight deal with Combates America. Her first one did not go well, like at all.
What's his face isn't involved with that anymore, is he? Del Rio?
No, he's resigned. Okay. But also, the lady that was accusing him of all that stuff apparently recanted. So I don't know.
Yeah, well.
That's not the reason why I didn't like the guy. So, like, I'm not reverting back to, like, oh, okay, you're false. Like, no, you're still an asshole.
Yeah, no. Oh, he's still a scumbag. I mean, you can just ask Paige. Not that she's a saint or anything, but also,
say, like asking a scumbag about a scumbag, isn't that like scumbag?
Yeah. But also, like, his just blatant, rampant drug use.
Oh, yeah, he's a cokehead.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're building up a Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. I assume because they're going to give Thunder Rosa the rub. I think she's signed. I don't know if she's gotten the Thunder Rosa's All Elite thing. I don't know what's going on, so we'll have to wait and see.
She is not signed. In fact, she even tweeted out that some like expectations or what other people want don't matter, something to that effect. Like of like everyone asking her, like, you're going to sign with AEW. So I think she's kind of. One, I don't think she can technically, because like I said, like she's got that deal with Combates America, and I don't know what AEW requires contractually.
Right.
So, but I just want her on TV. Like, she's fantastic.
Thinking about it this way, if she can't sign anywhere, then her being with AEW right now is the best move for her career because she can appear now on 3 different programs if they absolutely want her to.
Mm-hmm.
Being Impact, AEW, and there's still that weird handshake thing between NWA and AEW.
Yes.
So she's got the run of a gambit of exposure right now, which is great. So moving forward, we get like the big moment of the night, but it's unfortunately preceded by this fucking tag match. Powerhouse Hobbs, Darby Allin, the TNT champion, the face of TNT. One, that those 2 statements alone go against everything his character is supposed to stand for. 2, he champ out first, by the way. Champ out first. Skateboards to the ring in what is, I think, maybe a 45-second entrance for him. TNT champion, by the way. So Cody can come out second and get a 7-minute long entrance.
Wait, seriously?
Dude, his entrance gets crazier and crazier every time he does it. He doesn't come out from either entrance ramp. He comes out from the middle, right? His music, his wrestling has more than one royal family, downstate song is preceded by an angelic chorus of, oh,
Oh my God.
Yeah. He comes out. They hit his, wrestling has more than one royal family. He comes out, fucking blow the pyro budget on his entrance every week. It doesn't matter if he's coming out just to cut a promo. They blow their pyro budget just on his pyro. Arn Anderson then has to come out and waddle his way to the ring. I love Arn Anderson, one of my favorite wrestlers. Love his spine buster. He's great. But dude, it takes him so long to get to the fucking ring. Sorry, Arn, you just don't move like you used to, brother. So then, Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs come out to the fucking Team Taz theme that nobody can recognize. And they get like a 30-second entrance before they rush the ring. They rush the ring, by the way, and then get their asses handed to them. It's a typical bullshit tag match. Darby gets all the heat, gets his ass whooped. Tags in Cody. Cody, House of Fire, comes in, cleans house, beats the shit out of him. Then tags in Darby. He takes out Ricky Starks. He takes out Powerhouse Hobbs on the outside with a suicide dive, and then Darby hits the fucking coffin drop for the win. I don't know who is supposed to be protected in this match because they just beat Brian Cage and Ricky Starks just beat Darby Allin and Cody in a tag match 2 weeks ago. So I was like, oh, finally, they're fucking, and then last week, Taz had locked in the fucking Kata Hajime. Fucking Joey Styles. Locked in the Kata Hajime on Cody and nearly made him pass out. And it was a fucking janky Kata Hajime too. Taz didn't want to fucking take a knee on it, so brother was just standing bent over.
You know the craziest thing about Taz, just real fast.
Yeah.
Do you know why Taz retired in the first place?
Was it his neck?
Yes, but do you know the specifics about why he retired?
No.
He needed surgery to repair his neck so that he could continue wrestling. Taz is terrified of going under anesthesia to get surgery done. So he opted to retire instead of prolonging his career.
I mean,
this isn't some bullshit. I have his words in a magazine I can bring up. That is why he retired, because he's a giant pansy. I can understand it from his point of view. If I were him, yes, obviously I would take the fucking surgery. Because you look at Taz in his prime in ECW, that's a bad motherfucker. He was a great wrestler. Boiler suit Taz in WWE, that's a different story. But yeah, Team Taz was up on Cody in 2 weeks, 2 weeks in a row. They're up on Cody. They're getting their heat, and they just fucking squashed him. I think this match got less time than the Britt Baker match. But of course, it was all to build to. Team Taz jumps them after the match. Dustin runs out, or Arn gets involved and then gets his ass whooped because he's old. Dustin runs out and starts fighting him off, but then he gets his ass whooped because he's also old. And also because Brian Cage came out and he's not a man, he's a machine. Remember when Brian Cage was a main eventer?
Barely.
I remember.
What do you mean he's not a main eventer? He's the FTW champion.
He hasn't done anything in AEW since he had that title match with Moxley.
Yeah, and that's it's fucking crazy because the dude always has good matches. Because that's all he can do.
Yeah, he's not charismatic.
Here's Brian Cage's list of abilities. He can wrestle, and then he can also say, "Who better?"
Oh God, he's not even original.
Apparently him and Canyon were really good friends, and he got the blessing from Canyon to use that catchphrase. So
fair, still a terrible catchphrase.
Who better than Canyon?
Everyone.
No one.
Everyone.
I love that gimmick.
Positively Canyon.
I love that the Who Betta gimmick worked whether he was face or heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
like
I remember in WC. Yeah, exactly. Like when he would come out and like he was doing the Who Betta gimmick, he'd be like Canyon, and the crowd would go, no one. And when he was heel, he's who better than Canyon? Everyone. I was like, yeah, that's fucking great.
So they beat up. Dustin.
Yeah, they beat up Dustin. They're getting ready to hit Cody with the FTW championship. They're gonna knock him out with the title that they don't respect. That Cody refuses to acknowledge. Lights go out. Big pomp and circumstance. A white light ascends from the top of the arena, and you see that snow is falling, and lightning strikes on the Titantron, and you see the word Sting, and fucking Sting walks out to falling snow, and he's just standing in this white light with snow falling all around him, and he's got nothing in his hands, and then from a hidden pocket in his jacket, he pulls out the baseball bat. Also, Tony Schiavone on commentary hitting us with the nostalgia. It's Sting! Team Taz fucks off. They want nothing to do with Sting. Sting doesn't even save anybody. He pulled out the baseball bat. All of Team Taz runs away. Sting comes to the ring. He walks over to Arn, stares down Arn. Arn talks some bullshit to him, whatever. Who knows what he said. Sting walks over to Dustin, and he's like staring at him while he's standing. Dustin's in the corner laying down, and Sting's looking down on him, staring at him. He walks over to Cody and gets down on one knee, and he's using the bat to kind of like prop himself up, and he's bouncing the baseball bat, and he's staring at Cody. And then he walks to the opposite corner, and he gets in Darby Allin's face, and he's staring at Darby Allin, and he tilts his head to the right, and he's looking in Darby Allin's right eye. And then he tilts his head to the left, and he's looking in Darby Allin's left eye. And then he walks away, and he leaves.
Guy love between two guys.
Two guys.
So I know what Arn was saying to him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that Luger thing. That's my bad. And I know,
man.
Fun fact, people didn't know this, but Sting did say something to Dustin when he walked over, and he said, Black Rain, good to see you.
He said, wait, I know you. You're 7.
How you doing, Black Rain? Where's your rat?
Was Sting in when he did Black Rain? Was Sting in TNA?
Yeah, Black Rain was 07.
Okay, it's so hard to think about the fucking timeline of TNA because so much shit happened in a span of so few years.
I can always keep it straight, so if you ever have any questions, let me know. I know way too much about WCW and TNA history.
I was listening to the podcast here this other week, and they were talking about the. It's weird. This podcast came out on Monday. They recorded it, the Deadlock podcast. They recorded it the weekend before, and they talked about the episode of TNA Impact where it was leading up to when did Sting debut? Bound for Glory, in TNA.
Yes, which time?
In the match with Cage, was that
Final Resolution 06.
Christian Cage? Okay, yes. I was like, I know I have.
They gave the bats and coat on a chair at the end of Turning Point 05. Which was December. They formally announced his signing at the New Year's Eve special from 05 into 06, and then he made his first appearance in Final Resolution 06, which was January.
Okay, so it was, I think it was the TNA Impact either right before that or like a couple weeks before that. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about because Jarrett comes out and he's like, "Hey, you guys know Sting? You remember Sting? Well, let's take a look at the
Chris Harris,
all the
Monty
phases
Brown,
of Sting."
And
Eric Young.
Eric Young version of Sting. And Monty Brown came down in a golf shirt with like fuchsia golf shorts and like a hat on, while with Sting face paint. And I'm just sitting there going, all right, I may not be a smart man, but I'm pretty sure that one right there with the dark skin, I'm like 18% sure that's not Sting.
Do you remember what Jarrett said before Monty Brown came out?
Something
Because
about being like a baby or like a dad who takes care of the kids or a soccer dad or something like that.
he says that. He says, but you guys also don't know. He goes, first off, he goes, but you guys also don't know what Sting looks like in 2006. He's a lot more tan. Also, do you remember when Chris Harris came out that he had the crow with him?
Yep.
It was James Storm in a fucking chicken suit.
The best part about Chris Harris doing that, because like, I never talked to anyone, but I know this for a fact. There's a reason why Chris Harris was Sting and not James Storm. Do you know why?
No, I don't.
That was a callback to 2000 when Jeff Jarrett did the same shtick and Chris Harris dressed up as Sting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I remember like seeing like clips of like 2000s WCW with like Chris Harris as like security guards and shit like that.
Yeah, I don't think he was like a power plant guy, but I think he did some stuff with WCW Saturday Night and like Worldwide.
Yeah.
Because he
also,
was the reason why they found James Storm was because they were scouting Chris Harris, who had done work with WCW. So when Harris went back to the Indies after WCW closed, Harris was doing a match with James Storm, and they're like, "Who's this James Storm dude? We really like him. We're gonna sign them both." So fun little factoid.
And then we're gonna make them beer drinking rednecks.
No, that was just James. that was all him.
Also, because this was 2006, Chris Harris is fucking jacked to the gills.
Yep.
He's gassed out of his mind.
Yep.
And he looked like Sting.
Yep.
Like with the face paint and the bat and everything, you're like, that's just fucking Sting. So yeah, Sting came out and like kind of saved Cody. Not really though. And then that was the end of that segment. They had announced Sting was wearing his own merchandise. AEW officially licensed Sting merch,
which is using a picture of Sting from Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
So all right, so two quick things.
Yes.
When the video played, the second, because it was like a collection of shots, like mountaintop, trees, rivers, all right, whatever. The second one was a crow. I'm like, oh, it's Sting. And then like the fourth one was a crow. I'm like, it's Sting. And like the sixth one's a crow. I'm like, it's Sting. And then it's like, it's Sting. I'm like, I know.
So like, here's the thing that really fucking threw me off is like I didn't know what this was gonna be on the first shot, because the first shot of the crow, it looked like the crow only had one eye. So I was like, is that a one-eyed raven? Is this like a Norse themed tag team? What the fuck is happening here? Are they bringing in like fucking Odinson and Pero or whatever? Like the fucking tag, the indie tag team?
Just only bring in Odinson. He's a fucking star, man. Pero is just a big dude. Listen, Mike Pero, if you're listening, you're a decent hand guy. You are, but you look like that Russian comedian guy who gets naked and talks about doing stupid shit.
Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, like you're not a star, kid. Sorry, like you're not. Like sorry, Odinson. Holy shit.
So because it looked like a one-eyed raven, I was like, oh, it's like Norse. Odin would appear to, in old historical Norse text, people said that Odin would appear to them in the form of a one-eyed raven. So I was like, who's this? And then I saw the second shot. I was like, that's not a raven. Like ravens have longer beaks. And then I saw the last shot and I was like, what the fuck? And then it said Sting and I said, what the fuck?
So
and I backflipped through my ceiling.
So I found out a little insider knowledge. Sting's gonna have a stable.
Uh-huh.
You know what it's gonna be called? A Murder of Crows.
No, fuck off.
I don't want to be anything other than what
I was gonna say it's gonna be called an unkindness of ravens. Except because they can't call it the flock or what was it called in he called it the flock in WCW, right?
Yes.
Raven?
Yes.
What didn't he have another name for it in like TNA? Or am I thinking of a different
No, stable? He had two different groups in TNA. There was the Gathering with CM Punk and Julio De Niro and Mickey James, while Mickey James was doing porn. That's not even a joke.
Yeah, she was Alexis Lurie at the time.
Yep. And she did some weird fetish modeling.
Yep.
Like, listen, like if it's legal and you're into it, fine. But like, I'll never get feet. Like, and then with the Kazarian one, it was serotonin.
Serotonin, yeah.
But they were all pretty much branches of the flock. So like whenever you like look up Raven's flock from WCW, ECW, it'll be like ECW flock, WCW flocks, the Gathering, Serotonin, etc. And Dead Cell, which was him and Vampiro and the ICP.
So yeah, I mean, we bring in Raven, we give him a group of guys, we call it the Unkindness.
That's not a bad fucking idea, man.
It's not bad. I mean, it's not bad.
Stop pitching good ideas.
We stick Darby Allin in there so that Darby Allin doesn't have to be by himself anymore, and we can actually give him someone charismatic.
Here's the name of Sting's group, the Jagelskis.
The Jagelski. Oh no.
And he can just show up and like the only line that will ever be said is, "Do you know this guy?"
You know this guy.
As he rolls up to stop a drug deal in his flannel.
Oh boy.
I love Winfield.
So
such a trash show.
Sting has apparently signed a multi-year contract with AEW.
I'm disappointed by that. I'm
WWE. So
well, I mean,
cool.
Yes. He never should have gone there. God damn, what a dumb idea. I wish he never would have left Impact. Honestly, like I didn't need him to be a world champion anymore. But like, me and Marcus always talk about it. Sting's GM ship in Impact was so good. Do you remember that?
Ta-ta. For now.
Of
course.
Anything he did with Madison Rayne was so good. There was a great...
Say whatever you want. Joker Sting was a great fucking reinvention of the character, and his run as the GM in that era of TNA was fantastic.
If only they didn't blow... I think I read somewhere, because I was talking to somebody with some little inside knowledge. I think they said something to the effect like they blew 3 years worth of money in 2013 alone to try to go on the road because Hogan was pushing for it so hard. Turns out that's what almost killed the company. If only someone had spoken up sooner. Now they're kind of just limping along. Not limping along. They did finally break back into the top 150 top 150 shows on cable this week before the AEW stuff. So like this is a banner week for Impact. So all right, so Sting shows up, multi-year deal. I wish he went to Impact. You're just glad he's not in the WWE anymore. I think we both wish he never went to the WWE in the first place. Because if you're not going to put the belt on him, then why the fuck would you even like put him in the ring? Like fuck off. What a disaster.
Right.
What do you want out of Sting in AEW? Like what's your expectations, hopes, stuff like that?
I hope they don't use him for anything building Cody related.
Oh God. Because no Cody. No.
So here is legitimately how I feel about them bringing in Sting. One, Tony Khan is a fucking WCW mark. There's no other way to say it. Like, you say what you want about the dude. I know he says he loves all wrestling. He's a fucking WCW mark.
He is my people, so I'm fine with that. Because I too am a WCW mark.
Two, I think this came about because Tony Khan was like, "Hey, I have an in to getting Sting," and I think Turner was like, "Do it."
But then they realized it wasn't the rock and roll guy, and they're like, "Oh, I guess this will work."
Yeah. Three, here now, this is going to be a stretch, and this is my own opinion. This is not based off of any fact. This is just how I feel. I think Cody wants claim to being a wrestler like his father was and beating guys that have a name in this business. I think Cody wants to wrestle Sting eventually. I know that
I would 100% be on board with that theory.
So I know that the initial ideas are probably bringing him in because of Darby, And I know that Cody probably wanted to bring him in because of Darby, because literally at the beginning of the fucking year, right when all the COVID shit was happening and they were filming in their training center in Atlanta, they were Darby was having a match and Cody was on commentary and Cody said, he kind of gives off some young Sting vibes, doesn't he?
He does not.
He said that to Tony Schiavone. One, no, he fucking doesn't. Two,
he's Rob Diedrich with face paint. Fuck off, Cody.
yes. Yeah. Here's another thing. So, when was the first time that Sting appeared in the rafters in WCW? I can tell you because I can tell you. It was in 96. It was October 28th because I saw a picture and somebody posted it with a date. Guess what happened on October 28th, 2020? Darby Allin. Darby Allin was sitting in the high nosebleed seats watching a Cody match in face paint and full gear in Daly's place.
Cody, you are an unoriginal cunt.
24 years to the day. And I know that's not a coincidence because everybody who has ever worked with Tony Khan says that he is a numbers guy. He remembers dates. He remembers events on certain dates. Tony Khan does not do coincidences. Everybody who's ever worked with him has said that.
Can we also point out one thing?
Yeah.
Why is it that no one on commentary knew how many years to the date it was that Sting had last been on TNT?
I don't know. I was sitting there going like, I was like, if March 21st, 2001 was the last day he was on TNT television, we're almost in March of 2021. It's almost been 20 years.
Yeah. And
they said 18 several times.
It's been 18 years. No, it's been 19 and 8 months.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, it's not even... you knew he was debuting. Like, this isn't even like... Do you spend any amount of time researching?
Yeah. That... Boy, oh boy, that was fucked.
You could have gone with 20 years and it would have been more accurate.
True. Yeah. So to your point, I don't know if I have anything specific that I want him to do because I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know what his level of ring shape is, especially after having his surgery from the Seth Rollins. I'm not going to call it an incident or an accident because Seth Rollins is just unsafe.
Yeah. The word is that he's good. That Sting is good. Here's my baseline. If Sting can throw a drop kick.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even being facetious. Like, Sting's entire arsenal is clothesline, vertical suplex, death drop, death lock, splash, drop kick.
Yeah.
So, if he can still throw a drop kick, and I'm being 100% honest with this, put the fucking belt on. Like, I don't even care. But then again, I'm the biggest Sting mark in the world. So maybe don't listen to me, but also maybe do. Because if you're going to put it on Jericho, don't sit here and tell me you can't put it on Sting. And let's not act like let's not act like I'm not doing this all over the place, because I'm sitting here advocating for Shamrock at 57. So, like, this is my MO.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sting is he 60?
60 or 61.
60 or 61? Okay. Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. Here's the thing. Put either belt on him. I don't care.
If Rocky Balboa can fight Mason the Lion Dixon at 60, do not tell me Sting can't win a title at 61.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's why I say either title is because, I mean, literally he was called, when he was in WCW, they called him the face of TNT. They called him the face of Turner Television.
What was his movie?
Do
you remember?
Sting?
Yeah, do you remember his movie?
No.
Flatliner, I think?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, he did a TNT movie.
Oh. Well, there you have it. So if you're going to make a TNT champion, sure, do it. But, like, don't bring him in to have people go over him needlessly.
Shutter speed.
Shutter speed, okay.
And it's on YouTube.
Cody does not need to beat Sting, ever. Like, unless it's for the AEW championship, which it can't be because Cody can't challenge for it.
Ever.
That match shouldn't happen. Shouldn't ever happen. Darby doesn't need to go over Sting. Like, I'm sorry. Darby never needs... There's no situation in any planet, on any universe, in any timeline that Darby Allin should ever beat Sting. One is fucking Rob Dyrdek in face paint. The other is a cultural icon of professional. Like, you could sit here and say Darby Allin's the fucking future of pro wrestling. He's not. And here's why I know he's not the future of pro wrestling, because he has said on multiple occasions he wants to make his money and get the fuck out. You're not looking at a 30-year, 40-year veteran in Darby Allin. He is not the future of professional wrestling. He is the present of professional wrestling, if you want to give him that. And that's me being generous to his fans. If you want to call him the present of pro wrestling, sure. Because he is the TNT champion. He is undeniably doing things presently in pro wrestling. He's not the future. He should never beat Sting.
Can we also point out that his name is All In? And how much I hate that?
Yeah. Spell your name with an E like a normal person, dickhead.
So, before we go to the actual portion of this, that makes me giddy. Because, like I said, there's a little bit of residual disappointment with Sting going into AEW, not Impact. But I still like Sting, so I'm going to be tuning in at least via YouTube and or social media to watch his segments. So, like,
but the results of the main event also kind of like mend that little heartbreak a little bit.
A little bit, but it only depends. Like, we have some information about that we'll get to. But so before we do that, I have some more names for Taz's son.
Okay, let's go.
Bushwhacker Bob.
Sure.
Mum.
Okay.
Constance Koala.
Uh-huh.
My second favorite, Mr. Thickley.
Actually, let's call him Mr. Thickley. I like that one.
Didgeridingo.
Oh, Didgeridingo's good.
That's my number one. Wendell T. Wolf.
All right, that's not bad.
Francis X. Bushlad.
I like calling him Bush Lad.
Bull Gator or Axel. So Bull Gator or Bull Axel. Buddy Boar. The Bush Rats. Willy Wombat. Or my number 3, the Kiwi.
I say we call him the Bush Rat, and then so he starts off as the Bush Rat, and then we give him the more shooter gimmick, and we take him away from the like gimmicky gimmick of being the Bush Rat, and we just call him Rat, all capitals, just like his dad.
All of those with two T's.
Yeah, R-A-T-T.
Oh, wait,
yeah.
that might infringe on the ban. All those names are from the Tasmania cartoon. So main event.
That's what I think.
Main event time.
Yeah. So the main event happened. Moxley versus Omega. John Moxley, AEW champion, defends against Kenny Omega. There's a big fucking pomp and circumstance. Probably the most like anticipated title match in AEW history, considering there's only been 3.
God, that's
3. There's only been the crowning of a champion, the change of a champion, and then now this one. But there's been several title matches. So we can skip through like 75% of this match because it's just them kicking the shit out of each other. As we get toward the end of it, should note Don Callis of Impact, almost said TNA, of Impact. He's a vice president, executive producer. What's he?
EVP.
Co-owner. He's an EVP.
Mm.
So EVP in Impact, Don Callis is commentating along with Excalibur, Jim Ross, and Tony Schiavone. So match happens, like 75% of the match is like all kosher, Moxley and Omega doing their thing. Then it kind of starts to fall off the rails. They start fighting the outside more. Moxley suplexes Omega into some heaters that are on the outside area because it's like 40 degrees in Florida at the time. They're wrestling at night in an outdoor arena. Suplexes him into some heaters. Kenny goes down and he's hurt. And Kenny actually did get fucked up because his eye got really swollen as the finish was happening. So don't know what happened there. Callis leaves the commentary table to go check on Omega. He grabs a microphone because he's like trying to tell him like, hey, we need to chill this out, because Moxley goes out and grabs Kenny and throws him back into the ring. There's like a huge scuffle, blah, blah, blah. Callis is like grabs Mox by the shoulder. He's standing on the entranceway, grabs Mox by the shoulder and spins him around. And Moxley pushes him down. And when he pushes him down, two things happen. One, the microphone goes flying out of his hand and into the ring. And Omega scoops up the microphone. Two, when he gets pushed down, Don Callis explodes into 8 million rose petals. don't know how it happened.
He was wearing he had a rose on his blazer.
Yeah, and when he got pushed down, these fucking rose petals went everywhere. He turned into the fucking what's the dude from Sailor Moon?
Oh God!
Fucking,
the
Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah,
he turns into Tuxedo Mask, and fucking roses go everywhere.
Moonlight. God.
Also, somebody did that, made a Tuxedo Mask meme with Sting and Cody, where it's Sting's face on Tuxedo Mask saying, "And my job here is done," and it's Cody as Sailor Moon saying, "But you didn't do anything." So he goes down. Ref is checking on Don Callis. Moxley runs over to Omega, picks up Omega. Omega square in the middle of the forehead, bops him in the head with the microphone, and Moxley's bleeding everywhere. He's a bloody mess. Kenny Omega proceeds to hit 8 million V-triggers on him. I lost count somewhere like halfway through, so I don't know how many it really was.
I think it was 7.
But he hit, yeah, I think that's the number I've seen, so I think it was 7. He hits like 7 V-triggers, 1 Winged Angel, 1, 2, 3, Kenny Omega is your new champion. But wait, there's no time for celebration because Don Callis hops up after he was mortally wounded by a giant push.
I still think it was the explosion from the flowers that hurt him.
Probably, yeah. I think he's probably got allergies. Who knows why that he would put a rose in his jacket like that if he's so allergic, but
Moxley put
to each their own.
He was so quick.
Damn.
Yes.
Sleight of hand. Moxley's actually a magician.
Makes sense.
So Justin Roberts goes to announce your new. But fucking Callis runs over and grabs the title from, pulls Omega out of the ring, and they start hightailing it out. Camera follows them back. They run past Tony Khan, and Tony Khan's like, "Where the fuck are you guys going?" I don't know if he actually said that, but I like to think that Tony Khan would just curse on his own television program. Because the man's wearing a hoodie and fucking cargo shorts, so I don't think he gives a fuck. They're running past everybody, and everybody's like, "Where the fuck are you going?" Jerry Lynn is there, and I'm surprised Jerry Lynn didn't fucking scoop Don Callis up and give him a fucking cradle pile driver right then and there. They have history together.
Yes, they do.
He knows about Cyrus the Virus.
Yes, he does.
He knows what a scumbag he can be. They're running past the whole fucking locker room and everything. They get out to their car. They've managed to avoid everybody, but all except one man, the man on the scene who was hiding behind a tractor trailer for no reason, Alex Marvez. Pops out from behind a giant tractor trailer. It was the funniest thing I ever seen. I was like, "Marvez, what the fuck were you doing back there?" So Kenny and Callis are trying to get into their SUV and get the fuck out of there. Their driver's waiting for them. Marvez pops out of nowhere and he goes, "Kenny, Don, what's going on? What the fuck are you guys doing?" And Don Callis is like, "We'll tell you what we're doing next Tuesday." And Marvez goes, "Tuesday? But Dynamite's on a Wednesday." And he goes, "We'll tell you what's going on Impact Wrestling." And then they get in their car and they drive away. And that's your show.
He could have just said, "You're going to tell us on AEW Dark?"
Yeah, that's what he could have said. Also, I should note that this entire time, Excalibur, JR, and Tony Schiavone are just fucking ripping Don Callis to shreds. He's like, they call him a weasel. They say they're getting fucking bamboozled and jobbed, and they're being, had the wool pulled over their eyes.
Hoodwinked.
And Don Callis they're being hoodwinked and smeckledorfed.
Flim-flammed and hoojamawitched.
Yeah.
They had good old whatchamacallit right to the face.
Yeah. Which I think was great because the entire time that Callis was on commentary, JR and Tony Schiavone especially are going, "Don, fucking great to have you here. We're so happy that you're here. This is a great partnership. I love that we're able to actively have you come on. We know you're such a huge supporter of Kenny Omega that he's like family to you. Kenny's uncle, the Golden Sheik, trained Don Callis back in Winnipeg. He's known Kenny since he was like 7 years old or something like that. So It's like, oh, cool, this is great. They're putting him over the entire time, and then Don Callis scoops up Kenny and has him running away, and they're like, this motherfucker. It's like he hoodwinked us.
I think one of the things they said was, and I liked it. They're like, after we extended the invitation, he, this is how he treats us or something like that. And I was like, that's not too bad.
Yeah, really well done, and what it does, and everybody is aware. This isn't You don't name drop another promotion on your promotion, on one of the biggest show of your promotion's year. You don't name drop Impact Wrestling if it wasn't on purpose. So it's speculation still because nothing is set in stone unless Chad is about to hit me with some information I have not seen. That this is a partnership between Impact Wrestling and AEW.
So, firstly, I knew this was going to happen.
Okay.
When I saw the Sting photo being used as a shirt, I'm like, that's an Impact licensed photo. Like I know AEW and Cody has done some skeezy shit, but that's copyright infringement. So like right there, I knew something was up. But also having Don Callis on your show for X amount of time says something. Then you have to realize it's a rule of thumb. You never do the big pomp and circumstance title match on a TV show for free and not have a change. I cannot tell you the last time that people have like, and it's going to be a big old title match in 2 weeks between A and B and the title's on the line. And then there's not a new champion. Never seen it in my life. Maybe it's happened once or twice, but those are the exceptions that prove the rule. So I knew Kenny Omega was going over because this is pro wrestling and there's no such thing as a good promoter anymore. Because it's always inconsistent. Always inconsistent. If it wasn't inconsistent, you wouldn't be able to spot this shit coming a mile away. So I knew Kenny Omega was going over, and I knew he wasn't going to win clean because Jon Moxley is too big to AEW and to New Japan for him to lose clean and affect a possible partnership with both New Japan and of course, keeping him fresh and clean and all that fun stuff for AEW. So I knew Kenny Omega was going to turn heel. And then I saw Don Callis get involved, and I go, okay, this is where we're going to do the Impact stuff. But I thought it was going to be like Don Callis, cold clocks him and then gives, Kenny a shirt, and Kenny puts on and says Impact. That was my thought. So, it was kind of telegraphed. It was kind of obvious, if you can read the tea leaves like I do. Maybe I'm on the spectrum. I don't know. I don't think I am. But it was one of those things that, I knew this was happening. I knew this was coming. But as far as the deal goes, this is something that isn't actually, like, again, if you put together all the pieces, it's been there. Heading into into this year from last year, the Young Bucks were taunting Impact tag teams about the upcoming TNA, what was it? Homecoming? Not Homecoming. Old School, I think is what it was called, that they were supposed to do at WrestleMania weekend. And they're like, we'll show up and beat your ass. And they're like, do it. Just do it. So, like, they were building up to that. I think it was between the North, and the Bucks, but it could have been someone else. Or I think it was the Rascals and the Bucks. But, like, that was, like, the talk. Like, the Bucks might show up. And turns out the Bucks go on, an interview and say, yeah, we've been trying to do this for 2 years with Impact. So clearly there's some type of camaraderie there. And I have a feeling that it has to do with the fact that Scott D'Amore and Anthem own it now, because I know the Bucks did not like working for Dixie Carter and Scott, what was his name? Scott Gerber baby bunker. big. He was the fucking dude on Tough Enough.
You got it. You're talking about the dude the backstage guy for TNA?
Gaborik.
Big Scott Gaborik, yeah.
Was that his name? He was a WWE guy, and then he went over to Impact.
Or was it John?
Big John Gaborik. They didn't like working for him. So when they were all outside out of the photo, and brought in new management and new ownership, a lot of guys were like, "Oh, okay, let's talk." and a lot of people have had good relationships with the new Impact management. So this leads us into the expectation. Omega's appearance, according to Wrestling Inc., so I don't know, pinch of salt, is that this is going to be a one-off appearance for Kenny. Fair enough. Could be. Could not be. I don't know. And in turn, they're going to have the Good Brothers do a match on AEW. I have to imagine if they're doing a match for a match and not just an appearance for a match. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Omega does, like a 2-minute squash on Disco, right? Or, like, if he doesn't take, like, Johnny Bravo to the woodshed.
I was going to say, Kenny Omega comes out and he says, you know what? Fine. Impact, I'll face the best you have to offer. Send him out. And, like, Johnny Swinger walks out.
Even better, and I know I do this sometimes, and you don't always agree, but I'm telling you, you're going to because of who it is. He's like, there isn't anyone in this world that I can't beat. And then Demora comes out and goes, I'm going to throw the greatest mixed martial artist at you, and you're not going to know what hits you, Kenny. And then mixed martial Archie comes out.
Oh, damn, dude. Mixed martial Archie.
That's how you know shit got real.
When are we going to get a match between the two greatest MMA stars of all time? I want a match between Mixed Martial Archie and Double J Double MA.
Well, Jeff Jarrett's working that WWE circuit now, so I don't know.
Damn.
So
Broke a million guitars.
You know, I will refute that claim because look who made it. You know?
Oh, I don't tolerate any Jeff Jarrett slander whatsoever.
There will not be any Jeff Jarrett slander on this show.
No, absolutely not. That man drew all the dimes. Thank you very much.
There's also talk that this, while not a huge interwoven thing, will open up to eventual possibilities down the road. So, like, this isn't going to be like a game changer that some people thought it was, but I still think there's a possibility you can do a lot of dream matches out of this. And like the first couple off the top of my head, Eddie Edwards versus Kenny Omega, your ace versus your ace, your John Moxley versus your Sami Callihan, only if it's Barbed Wire Massacre 4.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Make them bleed. This one's going to go kind of like WTF, but hang on. Jericho versus Shamrock. Can you spot the reason why I'm going with that one? Not just that they're both 50.
Did they ever face in WWE?
Sort of. They were on a collision course for a pay-per-view match at Unforgiven 1999, but Shamrock left the company.
That's right.
So now you finally do it 21 years later. 22 years later.
They never had their match.
Yeah, because Jericho had that big black dude with the shiny vest, and they beat up Shamrock.
Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, is that who was Mr. Hughes?
Yeah, Mr. Hughes.
And they beat up Shamrock on SmackDown. They made him bleed, and they're like, yeah, and we're gonna do. And then all of a sudden, at Unforgiven, it's X-Pac versus Jericho, and I'm like, wait, what? Huh?
Oh, dude, X-Pac?
I think it was X-Pac. Hang on, let me see. Unforgiven 1999. They may have dropped the match. I know he faced off with X-Pac, but it may have been in 2000.
Every time we talk about X-Pac, all I can think about is X Factor.
I got everything I ever wanted.
And I'll never give it back.
Cause something, now you something X Factor. Yeah, I'm so good at remembering songs.
You're dealing with the X Factor.
So, so that would be it. For me, it would be the Guns versus the Bucks in a rematch.
Yeah.
FTR versus the North, but let's be honest, anyone who thinks FTR is better than the North, like,
they're wrong.
You're high consistently, because that's not even like the North, dude. Like, so many teams left the WWE, and so many talents left the WWE, and I'm sitting there going, you know what? I understand why they weren't being pushed. I get it now. All right, so I was right. X-Pac defeated Chris Jericho at Unforgiven 1999.
Okay.
Fucking six-pack challenge. So, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was just gonna say, I'm middle of the road on FTR.
Okay.
FTR was really good in NXT. and then they didn't get pushed in WWE as to what they said because one, they were constantly hurt, and two, Vince apparently didn't like the fact that they talked with a Southern accent. And you know how particular Vince is, so whether there's truth to, I'm more inclined to believe that's true
Mm-hmm.
than a lie because Vince is particular. Um, they can put on good matches. And I don't think that they need good teams to carry them either. But I think if you put them with a team like the North, you're going to have a spectacular match. I think if you put them with a team that they have to carry, they're going to have a middle of the road match. I think they are a middle of the road tag team and they're a middle of the road promo. They don't make me outright hate them. They don't make me outright love them. So, I mean, the the worst thing you can be in pro wrestling is just neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least if you're like that, like the shits, like the complete absolute drizzling shits, and you suck. Like, at least people could be like, well, like, at least we could just say that they fucking suck and move on with our lives, you know. But if you're just a neutral tag team or a neutral entity in wrestling, people are just like, do I watch your match? Do I go to the bathroom? Do I go to the concession stand? What are we doing here? You know, because you never know. I think FTR are a night by night tag team, which is not what you want to be. You want to be a good tag team overall, but it's like, all right, who are FTR facing tonight? Oh, they're gonna face the North. All right, I'll watch. You know, who's FTR facing tonight? Top Flight. Who? You know, it's just it's that. That's how I feel about them. So I don't think that they're bad. I just don't think that they're great.
So you're largely correct, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I would go as far to say that they're boring quite often.
That's fair.
More than anything.
That's fair.
They're like, we're Smash Mouth. And then you're like, oh, I grabbed your arm and slammed your wrist down on the mat. I'm 80s. What? What are you doing? Oh, you stomped his shoulder? And now you're not even selling it? Oh, you're so good. Like, they're not that talented. And I think people kind of get lost in the sauce. The problem with pro wrestling, as opposed to like a quote unquote real sport, is talent always shines through in a quote unquote real sport. But in pro wrestling, more than likely than not, what you end up having is people that, and it's not going to get over as a term, but I'm going to keep using it. It's wanna like yitis. I want to like you, so I'm going to. But you're not actually talented. There's nothing about about FTR that's talented. Like, they're not great wrestlers. They're okay. They don't look like wrestlers. The one with the hair on his head, not the goatee, I don't know their names. They're fucking white bread, generic white dudes. Who cares? He's kind of, a wrestler guy because he actually hits the weight room and doesn't look like a slob. But then, like, you see them wrestling, you're like, oh, so you're doing less popular versions of the same moves that were done in the 80s. I'm so riveted. And then you hear them talk, and it's like, wow, you do the same typical, we're gonna beat you up promos. Oh, yeah, I can't see that anywhere else. And I think people kind of tend to forget that pro wrestlers need to be more like musicians in the fact that they need to be unique. There needs to be something about that particular character that makes me tune in. As much as I think Darby Allin is a slapstick douchebag, there's no one in wrestling doing his shit. Granted, because no one else wants to die young. But how many people are doing Darby Allin's shtick? The coffin drop, I'm so lonely and depressed and I'm going to kill myself through wrestling because pain is the only friend I've ever known. All right, whatever. So it works.
Cutting a Darby Allin promo?
Pretty much. But, think about Johnny Swinger. Not a great wrestler. Maybe he was 20 years ago when he was in his 30s or early 20s. No, I'm not being facetious. Like Johnny Swinger's nearly 50.
Yeah.
But like, what makes Johnny Swinger so damn entertaining? His character. Like, he's so goddamn entertaining. Yeah. So like, yeah, that works. So.
Yeah, that promo, was it the Falaba and Tasha Steelz and Kira Hogan promo where he shows up at the end?
Yeah.
Did you see that video?
Yeah, last week. or this past week.
Oh my god, so good when he shows up at the end. He's like 2-for-1 special, and they're just looking at him. They're like, ugh. I was like, it's like, god damn, Johnny Swinger's still the fucking man.
So like, that's not FTR though. Like they don't have anything that makes them unique. And like you can sit here and tell me like, well, that's their appeal. They're Southern Tag Team Wrestling, and I would respond with, Southern Tag Team Wrestling's dead. Like that's why that's like coming into here going, dude, we're gonna do music just like Leonard Skinner. Good luck. The industry's moved on. You ain't gonna get over with that shtick, kid. You know, like the top rock act, according to Spotify, is a dude named Corpse. And I know the dude because I listened to his horror stories on YouTube. I'm very big into the spooky ookies. So, like, he's doing music now. And, like, it's super fucking popular. And it sounds like nothing you've ever heard before. Now, granted, you'd be like, well, that's not rock and roll like I remember it. Fair enough, but Achy Breaky Heart died in 1990. So, like, you got to move on. And I feel that's what FTR is. Like, dude, you got to move on. You might be Jim Cornette's wet dream tag team come to life, but that shows you just how far off base you are from being a act that will actually work. But in wrestling, it's that weird cult mentality where we will support you even if you're not good mainstream-wise. And it doesn't make any fucking sense.
So, considering the fact that there's going to be a partnership with Impact Wrestling, and that means that FTR could appear in Impact Wrestling, we have to address a concern here real quick. I have to address the concern. All right. So there's a tag team finisher, Chad. We talk about tag team finishers a lot on this when we talk about wrestling.
And there's only one guy.
So one guy, usually it was a man by the name of James Storm. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay, so he grabs you in a bear hug position, and then he lowers you, and he gives a little squat, and he lowers you so that you're horizontal and you're parallel with the mat. You following me?
Yep.
Okay, so then his tag team partner, we'll just call him Chris Harris. How about that?
Fair enough.
His tag team partner, Chris Harris, would climb to the top rope and hit a diving leg drop on the suspended opponent, the victim of the move.
Yep.
Now, in
we'll
some
call the victim
circles,
Elite Skipper.
Yeah, sure. In some circles, now I've heard this move referred to as this. It is an assisted diving leg drop, obviously. In some circles, I've heard this move referred to as the death sentence.
Yes.
Done by a tag team called America's Most Wanted. Am I anywhere off base?
Nope.
Here? Okay, cool. I don't care if you fucking like the Midnight Express or whoever the fuck did this move in the 80s. It's never been the Vegematic. It will never be called the Vegematic. Get off your fucking high horse, FTR. Stop with the AMW erasure. It's called the death sentence, and you will put respect on its name.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember a single time in my life where the Rock and Roll or Midnight or Super Midnight Dixie Runner Express ever did that move. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. It became popular because of AMW.
I have tried. I have Googled my ass off to try and find any video of the fucking Midnight Express. I don't even know if it was the Midnight Express. It may have been the fucking Fantastics. I don't know. It was some fucking 80s tag team that I don't give a fuck about. I know the Midnight Express were great. Fucking, which ones were in the Midnight Express? It was Stan Lane and.
Listen, if you gotta ask, they weren't great.
There was like 4 of them. There was like 4 different people in that tag team. I know like Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, and like one more. Never all together, just different combos of those 4 dudes. Like, here's the thing. Cool. If they did it first, they did it first. I'm not saying AMW created the move. That's not my argument here. It was popularized by America's Most Wanted, and you should call it the fucking death sentence. Don't sit there and be like, call it whatever you want. It's the Vegematic. No, call it the fucking death sentence. Put some respect on the 8,000-time TNA tag team champions. All right? Fucking, I'm sick of this AMW erasure. AMW should be going down in history. They should be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame.
You're not going to have any argument from me.
Dude, man, fucking Chris Harris was, man, he was fucking, like, Chris Harris from, like, 03 to, like, 07 was fucking jacked to the gills, just fucking huge, just putting on the best work that he possibly could for being Chris Harris.
Chris Harris, I actually thought was a really good wrestler.
I thought Chris Harris was great, dude. He was fucking jacked. He fucking looked good. He didn't need to talk because he had James Storm with him. You know, in that tag team, Chris Harris was the fucking worker. Not that James Storm was bad, but Chris Harris was the worker.
Yes.
So if you're gonna have FTR face any team in Impact, and they hit that move, if you call it anything other than the death sentence, I will call James Storm personally. I'll be like, go super kick their fucking heads off. Go hit them with 800 beer bottles. I'm sick of this AMW erasure.
I can see you're in a good place mentally, so this is a good time to stop.
All in all, I think this is like the most excited that a lot of people have been about professional wrestling in a long time.
Yeah, I would agree.
And rightfully so. I mean, Sting coming back is always good for pro wrestling. Say what you want. I don't care how old Sting is. He's the greatest. We've had multiple conversations about like our top 5 wrestlers of all time. And like in the past, like 5 years, I would say, I've really come to the realization that Sting has been my number one. Like Macho Man used to be my guy. And then for a while I was like, I think it might be Austin, because Austin was the first wrestler I ever remember seeing. Mm-hmm. But the more I think about it, the more like, I don't have a poster of Macho Man on my wall. I don't have a poster of Stone Cold Steve Austin on my wall. You know who I do have a poster of on my wall?
Me.
Sting. Not you. No, not you.
Damn.
And here's the thing. Here's how much Sting means to me. You know what's on the other side of that Sting poster?
Sting.
The Nitro Girls.
Ooh. I think I have that poster.
It's Sting in just the plain black singlet. It's got no scorpions on it. He's wearing his black mechanics gloves with the white lettering, and it says Sting in his like scorpion font next to him.
And it's kind of like it's like a photo shoot shot, right?
Yes.
I have that. I literally have that.
At the bottom of the poster, there's like a banner of scorpions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On the flip side of that is the Nitro Girls.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that because it came from a WCW magazine.
Yeah, I'm staring at that poster right now.
So we got more stuff to do. We're gonna hop on over to twitch.tv/Comic and Gamecore. That channel is getting a name change eventually. Just letting you know. I think we're gonna just make it Nerd Corp. Make it easy. We're gonna talk Community Season 6, the end.
Woo.
And then we'll be getting into our Christmas Hallmark movies.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So go check that out. RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCorp. On Instagram at RealNerdCorp. Swisher, where can they find you on your socials?
So you can find me on Twitter at X2000Gregs. That's X2000Gregs. And you can find me on Instagram at 2000Gregs. 2000Gregs. Chad, where can they find your personal stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at ChadNerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp. And on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. We'll be back on Tuesday with me and Marcus talking more about the Impact AA Double partnership. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about what actually went down on the show, because we're going to go live right after the Impact is over. And then Wednesday with Zach Duncan, we're going to do Making an Impact, where we review Impact and go even further into this combo. So it's gonna be a week of double and Impact goodness. So tune in for that. But hop on over right now to twitch.tv/Comic and Game Corp to listen to us talk about Community Season 6. With all that being said, Swish, we're done. Say goodnight and remember to watch more wrestling.
Good night, and remember to watch more wrestling.